Welcome to Stores and Glitterballs with Jess and Lindsay.
This episode is going to be all about lockdown and its impact on theatre and how we think performances will be staged in the future. I think first we're going to start off with some stats. So mine are all from 2018. So there are 34 million theatre tickets sold, which,
Wow.
if you think that the population of the UK is around 65 million, that's over half.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, as far as box office income, according to my stats, it made 1.3 billion in 2018, wow, which is actually just under what the government have put in for funding. They put in 1.57.
Yeah,
they didn't just give the bare minimum. But we're going to come on to that later because I do have concerns about how that funding will be distributed.
Yeah.
I think something else that's quite interesting is there's like 50% of the capacity of a theatre needs to be sold just for them to break even.
Yeah.
So that's not even to make a profit. So it's like most of the seating's been reduced by 20 to 30%.
Yeah.
Or will
social
be.
distancing.
Yeah. So it's going to be difficult, and theatres rely on their audience to make the money. So
yeah,
so that's mainly the stats I have. There was also a lot of theatres warning that they were running out of cash. They were going to run out of cash by the end of the year. I've got 70% of theatres warning that, and obviously a lot of jobs at risk. But I think that might be a little bit less now with the funding that's came in.
Yeah. I found a poll done by the stage back in May, and that was 86,000 people was polled, and 41% said that they wouldn't be going to the theatre for at least 4 months, and only 17% said they were actively booking tickets for a future event.
Yeah, that's very similar to something I've got about advanced tickets falling by 92% sales of advanced tickets.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely an element of fear there.
Yeah, definitely.
I also have quite a local example to me. It's actually quite funny because it was both Theatre Royal Plymouth and Theatre Royal Newcastle. They're not connected, but they both share the same name, and they're 400 miles apart. They're opposite ends of the country, but
yeah,
they both announced redundancies a day apart from each other. So Theatre Royal Plymouth said that 100 of its 350 jobs were at risk, and Newcastle said 44 of its 89 staff will be made redundant.
Wow.
And that's such a significant amount of the
People.
workforce. Yeah, definitely. So that's just the general stats. So the picture doesn't look very good at all.
No.
Before the funding, there was many people warning that the industry would completely die out, which is just, it's unthinkable to me, but very possible at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you look at what theatres contribute to the UK economy, according to my stats, they contribute 111 billion to the UK economy. So that's a lot more than they make, if you know what I mean. So they only make 1.3 billion, but they contribute, way more, nearly 10 times that amount. I am glad that Oliver Dowden has seemed to have realised that now.
Yeah, it's definitely a start.
Yeah, definitely. So if we move on to how theatre can go forward from this, how can we even think about reopening?
Yeah.
So obviously, I think probably the first thing I've got is drive-in theatres, but I thought we could do drive-in theatres without the cars. So it would be like, you would, instead of having your car there, you would have seats. So you would have a big screen, and then you would have seats, and they'd be socially distanced. Because I think, no cars, that saves the environment. But obviously the negatives are public transport's riskier. It's riskier catching the virus if you were to take public transport because you wouldn't use your car, obviously, so you would have to get a bus or a train. And there's always the risk of local lockdowns.
As has recently been announced.
Yeah, as recently shown with Leicester, um, they can happen at any time, it seems, and the government definitely aren't afraid to implement them, which makes any drive-in theatre, as you'll find out in the news bulletin, very difficult to put on, sadly.
Yeah, yeah. I think theatres generally at the start will probably be quite common for masks and PPE and everything. And there'll probably be a lot of temperature checks, I imagine.
Yeah, I have got something about that actually. A way that a production has actually incorporated temperature checks into their performance. Um, I'm not sure when it's due to open. Actually, I think it's 2021, but it's an immersive production of the novel 1984 by George Orwell, and they're planning on taking temperatures as like part of the performance because the novel, if you don't know it, depicts a totalitarian regime. Um,
Oh,
they're very strict in the book, and like it's like Big Brother is watching you, and it's all very sketchy.
yeah.
And
Sounds interesting.
yeah, so they're going to incorporate taking temperatures, and if you do test over the threshold, you'll get a full refund.
Oh,
Because
that's good.
obviously, because obviously they have to turn you away if you are actually,
Yeah.
you know. So I think that's cool. And then a similar thing is happening with the Great Gatsby when it opens. They're going to do like a masquerade style ball, and the audience will be encouraged to wear masks and gloves to like become part of the ball, which of
Oh,
course,
wow.
which of course is actually PPE. So it's
Yeah.
amazing. So I think stuff like that definitely
Yeah.
is a way to make it not feel as out of place.
Yeah, definitely. It needs to become the new normal, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Um, Another thing I've got is theatre that comes to you. So I thought, if you can't get to the theatre could come to you. So I'm envisioning like kind of like a wagon, if you know what I mean. It's like
A
a wagon.
wagon.
Yeah, it's like a wagon with like a makeshift stage on it, pulls up in your street, and you can watch it from your front door.
That would be quite cool.
Yeah, and we actually learned about it from my time at university. We studied about they were called pageant wagons, and they used to like play. They used to like go around these towns and cities via like horse, and they'd pull the stage with it, and they would do like little like religion plays. They would put on like a nativity
Oh,
and things
wow.
like that. Yeah, so it would like help reinforce like the religious stuff, and so I thought, well, they could try that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they didn't try that sooner. Probably because, well, I guess because they would have to. That would mean like leaving your home and stuff, which obviously wasn't allowed. But
Yeah.
obviously, I put like the staging is very limited because you're on a wagon. Um, and again, local lockdowns is a problem, and
Yeah.
also because it's such a small space, the stage that you would use, the social distancing would be pretty much
Yeah.
redundant.
That
So
just
it's
reminds
yeah,
me of at Christmas in our area, we have like this Santa that goes around on a sleigh around all the streets.
yeah, it'd be like that.
Just reminds me of that.
I think it would really cheer some people up, especially those who are still quite scared and they're like shielded and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to see it, towing along.
Yeah. You could almost have like a little carnival, a little
Yeah, yeah,
separate one for like a different musical.
brilliant. And it would also like it would get like the local population involved because that if to eliminate the local lockdown risk, they could just have it where it just stays in the city and just goes around the
Yeah.
city, so
Yeah.
they could get the local performers involved and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be good.
I've also got a solution for like reduced capacity. So one of the theories is that theatres reopen with a reduced capacity, but I thought, how would this be fair on like ticket holders? So, me and you, we've already booked shows and we are ticket holders of various shows.
Yeah.
And if the capacity is reduced, how are they going to decide, you know, who gets to go and who doesn't? So I thought
Yeah.
I thought we could do. something similar to what's seen on the West End, particularly with like Hamilton, is like a lottery. Do a lottery with all the ticket holders, and whoever gets
Yeah.
chosen gets to go. And then it just seems the fairest way to me, because how do you discriminate between who can go and who
Yeah, there is
can't?
no fair way.
Yeah,
Other than that, is there really?
but I've put that it can be abused in the sense that you could make multiple emails and things like
Yeah,
that to try and increase your chances. I think that would, if it was to happen, that would have to be strictly monitored. And also, it's not as simple as just like putting on more shows, because I would say that they would have to clean everything after every show.
yeah,
They would have to clean all the seats, wouldn't they, and disinfect everything. So
yeah,
doing more shows is just not possible, because like normal, I say normal in inverted commas, normal theatre schedule is 2 shows a day, and
yeah,
that's without having to clean it. Um,
yeah. Think of the poor performers if they have to go up to
yeah,
three a
literally.
day.
My next point is performers' welfare.
Yeah,
If they are absolutely knackered from doing 2 shows a day. There's no way you could possibly, and sometimes they only get like the one day off in the week, or sometimes
yeah,
none. Um, but also I've also said, temperature checks will be beneficial on the door, and
definitely.
potentially scrapping intervals, because that is obviously a time when a lot of people are together,
Yeah,
and a lot, viruses can spread that way. But then
yeah,
obviously there
definitely.
are people who need the toilet,
Yeah.
have a weak bladder and stuff. So it's, yeah, difficult. The final thing I've got, which is just a bit vague, but I just put virtual reality theatre. So this is like,
Ooh.
it'd probably have to work on a small scale, but those like VR headsets.
Yeah,
If you put them on, it would be a very immersive experience. But the first thing I put was the equipment's expensive, because I know that the Oculus Rift, which is like one of the most popular headsets, is something like £500.
wow, yeah.
Um, so it would have to be on a small scale. But again, I would love to try something like that for sure.
Yeah, it would be cool.
So I don't know if you have any other solutions to add. I really pushed the boat out with thinking of some of them.
You did, definitely. I didn't get as creative as you. I think my only extra thing that I really had was, I feel like cash will probably be more a thing of the past,
Oh yeah,
and it'll
that's
probably go
very
to a
true.
lot more cashless payments. I know, kind of like before lockdown started, I was really using cash, kind of because of everything going on.
Yeah,
So
I personally pay for tickets via card anyway. But I
yeah,
know when
I
it
do for
comes
tickets, but
when
like
it comes to,
programs and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, buying things like that, it's just
Yeah,
like, it's not worth getting your card out, is it? You just give over the cash. But
yeah,
now it's very different, and
yeah,
like, yeah, definitely. Um, so yeah, I think there's definitely solutions, and there's definitely ways around it, but there just seems to be a downside to everything.
yeah. No simple solutions.
No, it's never simple, is it? Because it isn't like cinemas where you can just put on extra screenings,
Yeah,
because
it's a lot
it's real
easier for them.
it's real people.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
yeah,
Um so moving on to consequences. So the consequences of, lockdown so far is like we've had mass closures of everything. Every live performance has been either cancelled, which is like the worst case, or postponed.
yeah,
And whole theatres themselves could close, particularly regional theatres, if the pantomime season doesn't go ahead.
yeah. That's
Because
definitely a big one.
yeah, it's a big source of their income, and yeah, and
Yeah,
it actually makes up. I found out it actually makes up more of the income in the Christmas period. Usually the West End makes more than like the regional theatres, but during the Christmas period, panto is more popular and makes more money than the musicals do that are on the West End. So obviously
oh wow.
The West End don't change their schedule of Christmas.
Yeah,
Some of them might put on like Christmas themed shows. Like I know the Palladium does a pantomime,
yeah,
but most of the West End theatres, carry on with the show that they're showing through Christmas, but Panto
Yeah.
actually outbuys that, which is it's quite good, really, that people are
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
so devoted to it. Another consequence I put was ticket prices rising. So this is a topic that we hope to go into with more detail in future episodes, mainly about not just ticket prices like post lockdown, but in general, like, because there's a big difference between touring prices and prices in the West End. Um, but
Yeah.
I think in general we're going to see a rise in ticket prices.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
it does depend where you sit, and it does depend if you get special concessions, such as being a student. Um, but yeah, I think we're going to see a rise because inevitably they're going to need the cash.
Yeah.
Obviously, redundancies, we've seen a lot of them already, and I think sadly they're just only going to continue.
Yeah.
And
It's so sad.
as I mentioned earlier, with the amount of with the funding that's came in, I think it's great, but they have not given us any indication of how it's going to be distributed.
No.
What is it going to go on? Is it going to go on like infrastructure, so like the like maintaining the buildings, like the theatres themselves, or is it going to go on? I would quite like to see it go on like freelance people, because they've been forgotten in this, I think, a lot.
Yeah.
I would like to see it like, portioned out to them. But I think it would be, very beneficial if they published something like that, because obviously they're meant to be publishing like a roadmap as well. But
Yeah.
it's still very, although we have got some clarity on the outdoor performances, it's still very unclear about the indoor ones
Yeah.
at
There's
the
been
moment.
nothing really come out about that, has there?
No, definitely not. And yeah, and the final point I've got for consequences is fear. I
Yeah.
think I know personally, I'm excited to get back to watching theatre, but I'm definitely apprehensive.
Yeah.
And I think for some people that will be so strong that they just simply can't go.
Yeah. I agree. Depends on your personal circumstances as well.
It really does. Because some people obviously can drive, but some people to get to the theatre have to use public transport. Just
Yeah.
small things like that can make something even more anxiety filled than it already needs to be.
Yeah.
Um, and then I've also put that although the outdoor theatres have reopened, there's also this whole load of guidance that's come with it, and I find this fascinating. Really, I hadn't even thought about it before reading it, but that it says that rehearsals should be conducted without scripts. And if I just think I've seen copies of theatre scripts, and they are hefty.
Huge.
Yeah, absolutely huge. I mean, how would the stage managers get on? They've got to cue everything. Surely they'll be allowed their scripts, because they literally create like a show,
Yeah.
like a whole book of the show, and like all the cues and all the um
Yeah.
yeah. So I have no idea. So it said yes, this rehearsal should be conducted without scripts, and actors are urged to learn lines or parts in advance, which I think a lot of actors do anyway, but doing the whole show is something else.
Yeah. Especially when they're
Yeah.
learning it.
It says they should also be prepared to take dual roles to reduce the number of extras needed. So now
I mean,
this is
that's
like,
very interesting, isn't it?
yeah, I mean that's something else, because not only are you being put pressure on you to maybe do more shows than what's humanly possible, you're also expected to do more than one role.
No pressure at all there.
Yeah, which I understand because it means less people, but just I know there is some companies that do, they're a small cast and they do manage to like people do multiple roles and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's built in, isn't it?
yeah, and like it does happen, but not every performance. There's, like the big companies like National Theatre and Royal Shakespeare Company, they all
Yeah.
use, vast casts, not like I don't know, like obviously like small producing theatres like the Watermill, they like to kind of rotate their casts with different roles, and they get to play dual roles and stuff. But for the bigger companies, it's just, yeah, they won't be
Yeah.
used. They won't be used to it. That's for sure.
No, just
Co-
seems impossible.
yeah, but this is what the government is saying. And they also say costume departments should use a dedicated sewing machine for one user. So the poor person that's a costume designer is doing not, everybody's costumes.
Yeah.
It's all on one sewing machine. So there you go. Directors should reduce the number of costume changes during performances. Um, and a blow to autograph hunters, there is a ban on visitors at stage doors.
That'll
Now,
definitely be
yeah, this is
hard
something
to
this is
implement, I
something
would
that
imagine.
this is something that greatly upsets me. even though even though I understand completely, of course, but
Yeah.
I absolutely love doing stage door. And I know it's not an obligation for actors, and I never expect anything, or actresses. I never expect anything of them. I never expect them to, they don't have to do it. But
Yeah.
when stage door works well, it is a wonderful thing.
It really
And
is.
it's for me, it's become just part of going to the theatre.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Yeah. It has for me as well. I think, although there will be people out there who respect that and understand it, I feel like you're still going to get the people who try to just like push their way in and try to kind
Definitely,
of force it.
because there's people that go to stage door just to get autographs and later sell them, don't they?
Yeah.
There is people that do that, and I think those people in
Yeah.
particular would be more likely to,
Yeah.
ignore the advice. Yeah, so
Definitely.
that's a big blow, really, because yeah, for me, a theatre trip, stage door's part of that.
Yeah. Same.
So for me, it won't. Even if theatres do reopen indoors, it won't quite be the same for me until that's allowed.
No. No. I feel like social distancing is just the main issue, really, with theatres opening. I did
Yeah,
find one of the theatres in Berlin have like put all their seats and arranged them like meters apart in groups of 1 and 2, which just looks so strange. But if it allows them to open and they're able to get an income with
I
that,
suppose
then
one plus is the leg room. Lots of leg room.
yeah, all of the space.
Oh, it's. I mean, it must be nice because that is being a fairly tall person. One one thing I hate about theatres is the leg room, the lack of leg room.
Yeah,
And also, the seats are pretty tightly packed, so you're often jostling for an armchair with the person next to you,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
you're usually sat with strangers unless you've got people on both sides. You're in the middle, you're the lucky one there, or if you're on the
yeah,
end, you're also the lucky one.
yeah.
Um,
Stick your legs out.
oh yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Oh
As long as you don't trip up anyone walking down.
yeah, that won't be good, would it?
No. So yeah, I think, I think I don't know really.
I think what Andrew Lloyd Webber is trialling at the London Palladium is very interesting. Because they're trialling no social distancing and having not theatre, thermal imaging cameras at
Oh,
stage door and as you come into the theatre, so that immediately identifies if people have got a temperature.
that's a good idea because that saves a lot of time rather than going up to each person. Because I didn't
Yeah,
realize because I've only got like those things you stick in your ear to check your temperature.
yeah,
I've got one of them, but I didn't know that you've got these ones now where you point it at somebody
yeah,
and
like a contactless one.
yeah, and you press the button and I didn't know that until I saw them and I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
Like I'm used
quite
to the
clever.
ones, yeah, I'm used to the ones you stick in the ear, but technology's moved on since then.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, even that's time consuming because even with reduced capacity or even with, there's still a lot of people to get through. And if
yeah,
if they're planning on doing it with full capacity, there's over 1,000 in most cases.
yeah. Well, they chose the Palladium because it's got just under 2,300 seats, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a pretty big venue, that, isn't it?
yeah, and then they've got self-cleaning door handles, which
Oh, how
I
do
didn't
they
even
work
know
then?
that was a thing. I do
Yeah.
not know. But yeah, and then everyone going into the theatre gets sprayed with this antiviral chemical. And And that's apparently all of this is what they did in South Korea. So,
Oh yeah, I saw something about that. Yeah, because
yeah,
they managed to stage. Was it Phantom? I feel like they managed to stage
yeah, I
Phantom.
think it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, because I've seen something about. I think Mamma Mia has reopened in Japan as well,
Ah,
and they've also put in similar measures.
yeah. I feel like that it could be a way forward, but obviously it will only be for the bigger theatres who can fund that. Obviously,
Well, yeah,
smaller
that's
theatres won't be
that's the
able to
problem.
do that.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to a question of where will the funding go?
Yeah,
That's been announced.
yeah. Need more clarification on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I didn't know if you had any other consequences apart from that.
Um, I've got. I don't know if I've got consequences as such, but I did read something about if theatres want to open while they're maintaining social distancing, um, until ticket suppliers are able to have a way to maximise capacity, the theatres might be better off just like getting rid of select your own seat and then allowing the staff to allocate seats manually so that they can make the use of how much space they've got.
Yeah, I see what you're
Um,
saying. Yeah,
yeah, which is very interesting. Not something I've thought of because obviously if there's two of you, then that's kind of different to if there's four of you. So you can't really
yeah,
like
and
have
I
that.
think actually more families go to theatre than I realise. I know, when I've been there in the past,
Yeah,
I've seen like two friends together or things like that, but there's actually been quite a few families as well.
yeah. I guess it depends on which show you're going to see, really.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, um,
Well, if that's it, we can move on to the news bulletin, which it's quite ironic. The first piece of news I have, because it was only last week that I was singing the praises about the fact that Six is going on an
the
open air,
driving tour.
yeah, open air. Well, it is open air, but open air driving tour.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that has now been cancelled. It was due to visit 12 cities, as mentioned last week, but its organisers, Live Nation Entertainment, have said that due to the localised lockdown, it's become impossible for them to continue with any confidence.
yeah,
It's a big blow actually because it's understandable for sure,
yeah,
but it's a blow for the cast, it's a blow for the ticket holders, which includes you.
yeah, yeah. It's not something that I was expecting.
No, definitely not. It
I
did
kind
seem
of
like,
thought like I've got a few other things still booked for the rest of this year, and I'm kind of expecting those to be cancelled. But I kind of thought, given that Six was planned with COVID and social distancing in mind, I kind of thought that was pretty much guaranteed. But no, I was wrong.
yeah, no, definitely. I did think it was, starting to, there was going to be something to look forward to, and it was starting to all move forward. So
Yeah,
yeah, sadly that's been announced. And I don't know whether any other drive-in or open air shows will follow suit with that. But
yeah. I think all of I can't remember what it's called, the driving ones that was with Six. I think all of them have been cancelled. The whole thing.
yeah, definitely. It's and it's sad actually because it was only the other day that Six announced more
Extra
dates.
dates,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So staying on the cancellations, I have got a statement from Kudos Entertainment, which is the country's biggest pantomime producer. So we were talking earlier about how pantomime is a big part of theatre's income,
Yeah,
and they have a decision to make, very soon about whether its Christmas shows will go ahead.
yeah,
And they said in a statement that it's keeping plans under review, and it was too early to make further decisions about Christmas, while plans to reopen theatres are yet to be worked through. Which I think is sensible, definitely, because they haven't. I think people need to wait until there's something official from the government regarding indoor performances before, making their decision.
Yeah.
And it will be interesting to see, once there is some sort of date announced, it will be interesting to see how many theatres actually suddenly make a U-turn, because a lot of them have been closed or will be closed until 2021.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely...
Which is a bold move. Very bold move to make.
Especially all of the Cameron Mackintosh ones.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
And obviously he produces pretty much every big musical known to man.
Yeah. Les Mis, Hamilton, Phantom.
Yeah, it never ends. So they're all not planning to reopen to 2021.
Yeah, it's definitely something that kind of surprised me, but it's also...
Yeah, because it seems like Cameron Mackintosh is doing one thing, and then Andrew Lloyd Webber
doing the other.
is testing stuff. So it seems, they're both are trying different approaches.
Yeah.
But maybe if there is a breakthrough with what Andrew Lloyd Webber's doing, Cameron Mackintosh might come round. We never know.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think, is it the Mayflower as well? They've said that they're closing until their pantomime, so...
Yeah.
It'll be...
And that is of particular interest to us, because that's the one we're hoping to go to this year.
Yes.
We went to Manchester last year, and this year we're going to the Mayflower in Southampton. Yeah.
Yes. Pantomime tour.
Yeah. we like to switch them up every year.
We do. I think the thing that I kind of sort of plays on my mind with pantomime is, if they can't go ahead in the theatre, is it worth... Obviously, they won't be able to film all of them, but if they can put some productions on with no audience and then film them and then sell those recordings, and then they'll be able to get a bit of an income that way.
It's almost like you could get it on a DVD or like a stream, and you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because
at least then it's still something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Christmas without pantomime will be strange.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, another news bulletin on Strictly Related is Strictly Come Dancing have announced another best of episode, and that's for best of finale. So
this was quite unexpected, actually, because they had already announced what we thought would be it for the best of.
The 3.
Yeah. So they've now announced another one, which is a pleasant surprise, definitely, because I think they're gonna be a great source of comfort for people and for Strictly fans, definitely, because I think a lot of us have always wanted a sort of montage episode. Definitely, I've always wanted something like that, because it just puts them all together, doesn't it? All the great moments are just all in one show. Yeah,
it'll be really good. And you can actually still enter if you want to. I think you can create, there's 4 or so different show dances that you can recreate and film, or you can make your own glitter ball and submit that, and it might be on TV.
Yes.
That's on the Strictly website.
And that has been the theme of every best of they've announced so far. You've been able to enter in or participate in some way.
Just like some different
So
themes.
If you want to feature on TV, get making, is what I'd say.
Yeah, the deadline is Sunday, so not long.
No, not long at all, actually. By the time this goes out, but it's all right. Yeah.
And then the final news bulletin we've got for this week is ATG have postponed their shows again. So they're all suspended now until the 20th of September, and it was originally the 2nd of August, so it's like a month and a half, nearly 2 months, whatever it is.
They've pushed it back again. And in case you don't know, ATG are one of the biggest... I don't really know how you describe them. They're kind of like... They own theatres. That's the way to describe it. I don't really know how to describe them. They're like, theatre owners. They own like a lot of the theatres, basically, in the UK.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're all under this one group. And so a lot of the theatres are going to be out of action until September. But like we say, that might change depending on what the government announces.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of expected, that one.
Yeah, I would say personally, like, September's, quite a sensible, date to start again.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Anyway, at least. So now we're coming to the end now, but there is a new segment we're going to add in at the start. At the start? No, at the end. At the end of every episode, and it's going to be Song of the Week. So we're planning on taking in turns to choose a show tune every episode, and we're going to hopefully add this into a Spotify playlist, so you can see all of our selections, all in one playlist. And I'll definitely be listening to it, because I trust that Lindsay has good taste.
Yeah, it'll only have one song in it at the moment.
But we hope to
expand.
We hope to get quite a collection. If you think 52 weeks in a year, and we hope to do a podcast every week. So
yeah, that'll be a long one.
Kick it off.
So this week I chose Alexander Hamilton from Hamilton.
So no surprises there.
I feel like that was quite predictable. It had to be a Hamilton song.
So of course,
quite a tough choice.
That is the title. I guess you call it like the title song, like the title character song. It's the song. It's named after the song. Yeah. It's named after the main character, which is Alexander Hamilton. That was actually the first Hamilton song I think I ever heard. I think I saw it was either the Olivier. I can't remember if it was at the Tony Awards, or it was either the Tony Awards or the Olivier Awards. One of the two. I saw them perform Alexander Hamilton, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" That was my first reaction.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and the way it's all done. But anyway, that'll be all discussed on our bonus episode coming soon.
Yes, we are going to do a whole review on the masterpiece that is Hamilton and Disney Plus.
Yes,
because it is just brilliant. So
it really is.
Next episode we are going to do a strictly themed one, and we're going to talk about new editions. But we're going to split it into two parts. We're going to do new lockdown editions, so what this series could look like with the appropriate coronavirus methods in place, and also new editions just in general for future series. And that's all.
Time for the curtain call.